Hi, I'm Seth Thomas. I'm a second-year biology major with a focus in ecology and a chemistry minor. The learning experience was different because I really got to engage with a lot of things you normally wouldn't engage with. So like English classes on campus, you'd probably just read a book. It's not like a physics class or science or other sorts of science classes where you could actually see something happen. But when we were in London, we could read Beowulf and then go see the original copy, which was super, super cool. And then we could also do a lot of different things in terms of the culture that you really wouldn't be able to recreate in a classroom here. Personally, coming from out of state, I found it super, super helpful. I was really afraid I was going to come into school not really knowing anyone, and then I showed up with 20 really good friends. So that was really helpful to my transition as an incoming student, just kind of already having a community here. And a lot of you are going to be in the honors living learning communities, so you're going to be surrounded by all these people that you already knew. So I found that to ease my transition a lot and kind of helped me as I came to OSU. So we kind of did a pairing of learning in the classroom and learning out. We'd start each day with a lesson, and then we'd have an activity to kind of match it going around London. So a lot of times you'd be calling on other people's experiences or learning from the professors to kind of get a lot of that put together. The professors are really teaching classes on their research areas that they're really passionate about, especially when it comes to kind of the England research. It's a place where they're kind of thriving, so they can show you a lot of the nuances that you really wouldn't be able to know without them. I wouldn't expect a normal classroom if that's what you're kind of thinking. I know you do have a large classroom portion, but you're really getting out there and you're exploring a lot. I wouldn't expect kind of traditional London. I'd kind of broaden your horizons to a really diverse big city. It's not going to be a lot of British people eating tea and crumpets, but rather this really vast expanse that you can kind of explore that holds a little bit for everyone. My favorite place to visit was probably the British Library. We did a ton of museums and tours, so it kind of like blends together, but that one really stood out to me because you're looking at some things that you like never thought you'd actually be able to see. Like the original copy of Beowulf that I mentioned earlier, that one is in there, and it's probably one of the oldest books I've ever seen. If you've ever seen the movie Monuments Men, they actually had the letter that authorized that mission to go out. So it's a lot of like the most important books and like memos in world history kind of collected in one place. So it's super cool to like explore that and go through it. So the food there, I'd say we almost never ate British food ever. There's so many different amazing foods to have there that you really don't get tired of anything. My favorite food there, we actually found these weird little like dumpling things in Chinatown that we probably went back for like 4 separate times. So I think that was one of the highlights, but there was just so many different types of cuisine there. I actually learned how to use chopsticks properly in London. Kind of all adds up to a fun time. The City of London, 50% of the people in the City of London are not from England, so it's this incredibly diverse city that you aren't really expecting, and they kind of capitalize on that diversity as you're going through, and you see all of these different like amazing ethnic neighborhoods, all this amazing food. It really gives you an experience to have culture outside of England as well as English culture while you're there. I definitely say don't be afraid to explore. A lot of the favorite things that I think we found when we were there were places where we just stopped and we're like, okay, we're gonna turn left and just kind of see where it goes. We stumbled upon some really weird things. We found Wiz Khalifa's Bugatti unintentionally, so that was weird. We found a lot of the best meals and best places that we went by just kind of exploring the neighborhoods after we were done with our classes. I think one thing I wish I had done is looked a little bit more into all of the museums and places we were going, because a lot of times you'd stumble upon something and it wouldn't really like hit you until a little bit later. Like we saw the Rosetta Stone, which is super, super, super cool, but there was a lot of other things there that like had extreme meaning like that, but like you wouldn't really know it unless you'd actually like looked into it a little bit beforehand. So kind of having a greater understanding of like the places that you're going before you go there might allow you to kind of look for what you're wanting to find. I think London really has this aspect to it where it really does, like, everything around it gravitates towards it. It's one of the biggest cities in the world. It's a capital of commerce. You really have all these different components coming together versus a lot of cities in the United States kind of each have their own individual vibe. London kind of combines all of these, so you could be in 4 different places in London and barely know you're in the same city. It really brings together all these different cultures and aesthetics and different vibes that you wouldn't actually expect to mix, but it really, really does actually make the city a lot richer and a different experience. You could spend your whole time in London in just one small portion, you still wouldn't find out everything there is to be there. So I think it's really going forward in the future of cities, it's kind of showing that within a city, even though you may generalize it to be one thing, there's lots of different things that can be hiding in the city if you're just willing to look a little deeper or go to a new place. No, but we do so many museums. By the last museum, we were like, oh, the world's largest Persian rug, great, kept walking. Like there's so, like, I'm pretty sure we did like 16. And by the time we got to the end one, we're like, oh joy. Like another, we literally walked in, did the